Hello ma'am, in this presentation, I'm going to talk about Deepin OS and its various aspects. Without further ado, let's start with the presentation objectives. In this presentation, we are going to introduce ourselves with Deepin OS, its history, a brief overview about its system, and as well as on its architecture. Let's start with the introduction. Deepin, formerly known as Linux Deepin and Hybrid Linux, is a Linux distribution based on the Debian stable branch. It features the Deepin desktop environment built on Qt and available for a variety of distributions. The user base is predominantly Chinese, though it is in most prominent Linux distribution repositories as an alternative desktop environment. The company which behind the development is Deepin Technology, a wholly owned subsidiary of Union Tech, which is based in Wuhan, China. Further point, Wuhan, we famously know Wuhan for one thing, but it actually is a technology capital at China, just like just like Hyderabad and Bangalore in India. Later on, the name Highweed has been changed to Deepin for obvious reasons. Now it's time to talk about its history. The distribution began in 2004 called as Hy-Vee Linux. In 2011, the development team behind Deepin established a company called Deepin Technology to support the commercial development of the operating system. The company received business investments on the same year it was founded. Deepin Technology joined the Linux Foundation in 2015, and in 2019, Huawei started to ship Linux laptops pre-installed with Deepin. We can see that Deepin is a Chinese-based operating system which is much popular in China only. Let's have an overview. Deepin ships a mix of open source and proprietary programs such as Google, Chrome, and Spotify and Stream. The main revenue that the Deepin earns is through the installation of these proprietary programs. Just like whenever we buy a phone, mid-range phone which is less than 30,000, we are able to get some apps called third-party apps which we do not need, such as Moj, LinkedIn, um, LinkedIn. Sometimes apps that we do not even use, such as games, for example, we get that, and the companies pay the mobile phone companies to install them before shipping. So by that, they earn most of their revenue. They also include a software suite of applications which are proprietary developed by them, such as WPS Office, 360 Security Guard, Code Weavers, Crossover, and many other. Among these, we famously are well aware about WPS Office since it is used by many in India to replace Google Slides, Google Docs, etc. And even Microsoft Presentation. Now the development of Deepin is led by China-based Deepin Technology Co. Limited. The company generates revenue through the sale of technical support and other services related to it, just as discussed. The release cycle has followed various schedules, but currently aims at 4 releases per year. Releases are delayed, the work of development and testing has not been completed. So the company is committed to provide 4 updates every year, but due to certain issues, they are unable to achieve that milestone consistently, which is not good. The distribution is widely praised for its aesthetics in various reviews, while it has also been criticized for various perceived breaches in user privacy. As Deepin Technology is a Chinese-based company, and seriously has linkages with CCP just like any other company. It uses its OS. It is well established that it has certain modules which spy on its users, and there have been many instances where user privacy was compromised. That's why it is not so popular outside China, but much popular inside China, because in China there is nothing called privacy. Now, Deepin's reputation was that it had relatively high CPU and memory demands when it was still based on GTK and HTML technologies. It is because of its aesthetics. It is a CPU monster and a RAM monster, even though it is based on many such very efficient systems known as GTK and HTML. After switching to Qt-based technology, desktop environment performance was slightly improved. According to Deepin, in December 2022, the operating system had more than 3 million users worldwide, supported 33 languages, and had accumulated more than 80 million downloads since 2008, which is actually good. And its name was changed from Highway to Deepin. Let's discuss more about its architecture. So it basically has these components in its architecture, that is kernel driver, which is for hardware like CPU, memory and disk, and it needs to be compatible with different net card, display card, sound card and IO devices, etc. Next is display server. So basically how it works, it goes from kernel, we can see the Plymouth, that is system slash screen, and when you see the login screen and it prompts you to enter the password, the display driver, also called the X server, has just started. It is called the god of the graphical interface in the context of Linux system. All the painting requests will be sent to the X server, that is the display driver, to handle. Also, it is the abstract layer for input and display. Developers can use the X11 XCD APIs without concerning the detailed information of the drivers. But now most users will use the higher GTK plus Qt library to write their applications. Next being the display manager. Simply it's the interface that you can enter the password, the login screen. It is a series of daemon processes to monitor the hardware status, and it will provide information to desktop environment and application like network, power disk, Bluetooth, sound, keyboard and printer, etc. Desktop environment. As for Deepin desktop environment, it contains backend services and daemon processes. A full desktop environment will provide graphical development toolkit, binary tools, and DBUs API. We will later explain these parts in the coming slides. App Store. It provides operations for software install and upgrade, etc., and it keeps the user to manage software conveniently and can comment and rate the software. Applications. It is mainly deep in original applications, completed application, Android, Windows, and even web applications. Display Manager. The display manager will be started after the X server, that is the display driver, which will be successfully started. The display manager mainly provides the authentication and user switch functions for now. Login users according to the system configured user permissions. Once the user passes the verification, it will execute the next startup program. Deepin has developed a front-end interface based on a Qt called Deepin Creator like this. Now, Deepin is using the LightDM developed by the Ubuntu. Other major display managers are JDM from GNOME, KDM from KDE. Using LightDM is that it is very lightweight and will not bind any desktop environment, etc. Besides the authentication, user switch, daytime, and shutdown function, it will also provide the multimedia control interface at the bottom right. Lets user switch or pause music when the screen is locked or switching user. When startup or unlocked with multiple screens, it will switch the main locking interface according to the cursor. It will directly start some of the system services when typing the password like power, account, and write, etc. After the user types the password, these services can be loaded in advance. This will shorten 30% of the startup time compared to other desktop environments. With this slide, I want to conclude my presentation. So, what we have understood till now, that is basically what is Deepin and its overview. Its overview. Coming to architecture, it has several components to it, and one prominent one is the display manager. Why? Because it is known for its aesthetics and UI UX. So display manager is essentially the reason why it has such aesthetic appeal to it, but it has also its downsides because it's resource hungry. So resource hungry, but As we have discussed, the desktop environment of Deepin is actually much prominent and can be comparable to the Windows desktop environment, due to which it has been widely regarded as an alternative for Windows, but only in China. It's not that popular outside China, but it has some roots outside China too, because it is based on Debian distro. Thank you for listening.